if the business world on a scale of 1 to 10 in the last 15 years has changed to 10, how much finance function has changed? This question is to CFOs and senior finance executives. And guess what? The answer has been consistently between 4 and 6. And this answer is from the people who know finance very well. Actually, they own the finance function. Imagine what would be the answer if we ask this question to CEOs and other non-financial senior executives. So let's look at what has changed in the last 15 years for business world and for finance. I think the predominating change is based on the technology, information technology. Until the late 20th century, until the late 90s, remember Y2K? The whole IT industry was busy solving the problem related to Y2K. But as soon as the Y2K was over, the IT industry, the IT resources got time and attention and focus to develop new applications. And what we have seen in the information technology in the last 15 years is amazing. On finance function side, it was more related to the accounting system and then the ERP systems. Today, the powerful ERP systems we have, it was not possible to imagine 15 years ago. SAP, Oracle. So how this information technology change impacted the finance function? Well, we do not need bookkeepers anymore. So bookkeepers started to do the accountant's job. Accountants upgraded themselves and started to do controller's job. Controllers found themselves doing CFO's job. What CFOs are doing? They are still doing controller's job, most of them. CFOs in general couldn't really figure it out that after this big change in the system accounting, what is their new role? Most of them. And that is how there is confusion on the role of CFO. The second biggest change which happened in the last 15 years was the globalization. Businesses got a lot more global. In fact, my ideology is that every business is global. If you think you are local, your days are counted. Businesses became a lot more competitive. And with a lot more competition, they needed a lot more help from the finance in terms of decision support. Unfortunately, we, the finance function, are designed for transactional support, not for the decision support. Look at the functions around. How many finance functions are really designed or providing high level of decision support? Very few. So the businesses are a little bit disappointed with the decision support provided by finance in general. And that's another reason that we ourselves know that we are not up to the level what business is really expecting and demanding. The third important thing which happened in the last 15 years is related to the compliance, increasing compliance requirements. Until end of 90s, finance function was pretty excited to play the role of business partners, CFOs, becoming business partners. And when the beginning of the century, around 2001, 2002, some high-profile corporate scandals happened. Enron, WorldCom, it completely changed the scenarios. And we got back to playing more of a role of controller rather than really business partner. Since then, it's an ongoing confusion in finance that whether we need to play a controller's role or a compliance role or more like a business partner role. There is no one definition. People, based on their own understanding, define their position. Peter Drucker was an amazing futurist. He had an amazing ability to look into the future. This is what Peter said in 1997. Universities won't survive. The future is outside the traditional campus, outside the traditional classroom. The distance learning is coming up fast. 1997, he could see that. And it's coming up very slowly, but it's definitely coming up. Let's talk about the finance and accounting education. If you look at the curriculum of the qualification, accounting qualification like CPA, CA, CMA, they are still very much concentrated producing accountants, aren't they? I recently tried to look into it, and there is still very little, very shy content of business strategy. Problem is, when our accountants qualified from these institutions come into the business market, they significantly lack the business acumen and no knowledge of a strategy. because we are producing accountants. We are not producing business managers. We don't need 4 to 6 years to get a certification. 20 years ago, 15 years ago, it was enough to get one degree from the university or college or certification like MBA or CA or CPA, and that was good enough to take you through your entire career. It's no more true. You have to go back again and again. Experts are saying that in order to stay where you are, you have to spend 10% of your time learning new things, 10%, just to stay where you are. And if you really want to grow, that ratio is 20%. Think of this, 1 day out of a week learning new things. Now, it's necessarily need not to be that you are going back and attending college, university, or training programs, but learning new things. Reading a book, reading some articles, talking to someone more knowledgeable, sitting among the people who knows more. These are the learning activities we need to spend 10 to 20% of the time to really survive in this changing environment. We as finance professionals, we live in our job day in and day out. Day in and day out, we live in our jobs. And the consequences are, we really don't have time to train and develop ourselves. And even the people who are able to find some time, the corporate culture does not encourage that practice. Why do the bean counters need any training? That's the answer. So they don't think the accountants really need any training. Accountants are doing their accounting job because we never define ourselves what we could do. So that's another reason the finance function is lagging behind.